Hi everybody, I wanted to come on to YouTube really quickly today to make an extra video. I was having a little bit more clarity after recording the partial lunar eclipse video that posted last Friday. And I wanted to come on and share that with you today because I actually had a difficult time channeling the energy of that. And as we're moving closer to the eclipse, I had a few more insights that I felt that I needed to share. As is typical with this work, sometimes you go through experiences that will be or serve as a synchronicity to further expand on the dialogue. So a little extra here. And what I wanted to frame this around today was the idea of ego evolution and the idea of new thought forms and conflicting situations as evolutionary instruments to a better sort of life experience in general. So just a stream of consciousness recorded on my smartphone today. I know you guys love these videos, so when the inspiration hits me, here I am, coming to you very quickly in a raw and unedited fashion. So we are finishing out the year of 2021 with some super huge, dare I say, like triggering experiences for a lot of people that are making marks on how we move forward now. So as you move through a situation in life where perhaps someone does you a disservice, there can even be ugly experiences now where you see like the worst side of people, or you see unneeded or just completely unnecessary, even unthinking acts of unkindness, or something that just brings up conflict. For everybody, it's not necessarily going to be, a bad experience or having something unkind. But if you do have any placements in your chart at the degrees in the aforementioned lunar eclipse video, this can be late fixed signs or even mid fixed signs, because we've got two T-squares happening during this time. The Saturn, Uranus, and Sun T-square, of course, and then the Moon, Jupiter, Sun T-square. And it's Saturn, Uranus, Mars T-square on the other one. I believe I said it a second ago. But these two T-squares, basically, if you have anything at fixed signs in those degrees, you are being basically excavated in a way, almost in a way that an archaeologist will come onto a dig site and excavate ancient things and find maybe nothing or maybe a lot. As the regressive nature of fixed signs is seen during this time, and there's a sort of historic element to the feelings that you might be going through right now. And we've been through a lot of evolutionary societal experiences over 2020 and 2021. Nonetheless, we have two fixed T-squares cropping up right now that are contradicting the new wave change in tide that's happening. So what this says to me is that we do have a little bit of a battle about how we react and also how we rely. React and rely. I want for you to think about these two words, these two concepts, a lot over the coming weeks. Towards the end of November, it's going to get clearer. Sagittarius season is much nicer than Scorpio season this year, I will say. I want you guys to be as self-reliant as possible and as safe and sound as possible during Scorpio season, because I'm seeing that karma is being implemented now, okay? So we might have, and I see this often a few times a year, but this is the strongest I've seen it in a long time. I'm going to warn you guys, I'm going to tell you guys, it's not a bad thing, but it is happening. Karmic rebalancing, it's not just karmic rebalancing anymore, it's karmic enactment, to the degree that those of us who have been in a really bad headspace or maybe have been creating karmic waves that are harsh might really see a reflection of that at this time. And likewise, those of us choosing kindness or choosing healing or choosing the rising above of previous conflict patterns will get more of that as well. But there's kind of a signal during this time, and I think that we have to work and adapt as quickly as possible to these signals. Like, okay, I'm seeing that, I just had an ugly experience. Does that mean that I'm giving my own internal world ugly experiences and it's manifesting on the outside? Is that what that means? It could be. Also, if you're just having strange situations, as I feel with this T-square, like just like weird kind of things that you can't sum up, like was that kindness or was that meanness? Like I feel that two-facedness is really high at this time. I feel that there is duplicity in the air. I feel that we have to be very careful about misplaced trust and also about a false sense of community or a false sense of connecting point. Okay? So be careful about expectations regarding people that you barely know. For example, you might think you know somebody and you don't know them at all. In fact, this can even be at a really high level, like to the degree that you're having like a nice encounter with a stranger or with a semi-acquaintance, like someone that you really don't know at all, but there's like regard there at this point in time, and you don't know it, but this person is totally like subverting you. Or it can go the other way around, like someone that you think who is like doesn't like you actually what could be a very trusted person also. Like there's what's at the root of that is a misperception about how other people view us or the role that they're playing. So I think that we're thinking too fast right now. I think that we're drawing conclusions too fast right now. And I think that we're bypassing the work that we actually need to do. Okay? And I'm feeling a lot of us kind of like stagnating off the path a little bit even. And that to a degree is safe. I wouldn't even recommend like starting to like realize that and sprinting onto the path during this time. We're really going to have to wait till like December and January to push things through. And a lot of us just have momentum that's working itself out right now. As these T-squares indicate, long-running momentums that now have to be worked out, okay? You know, you can't go from driving a car 110 miles an hour to suddenly being still. There's a process of braking and slowing down before that happens. We're in one of those energetic time periods right now where we're in that place where we're not anymore happy with the speed that we're going, but we're also not at the speed that we want to be in. It's that adjusting time. So it's a little bit chaotic, you know, depending on why you're changing your speed, depending on why you've identified that you need to change course or, I don't know, kind of rise to occasions differently. That is what depends on how, that's the depending factor on how this feels or how this turns out. Like, is this a high-speed car accident or is this just a natural slowing down? And I would just really pull your attention to preventative care during this time, okay? Softness, safety, and preventative care. Prevention is very helpful right now. And I believe I touched on this in the Venus in Scorpio video, which I'll link below and in the top right-hand corner, because the Scorpio energy is being re-invoked during the season. And even though Venus has moved to Capricorn, which is a better sign for Venus, it's like that's being reactivated, where I was talking a lot in that video, and this has just suddenly like come right back into the forefront, okay? I was talking about being cautious with, what do I want to say, like loitering spaces or situations that invite random encounters, public sphere types of things. The proverbial waiting area before the area or space that the actual action is done, the waiting room per se. The waiting rooms of life are not places that I trust at this point in time, okay? So there's a lot of preventative care that I think that we can really innovate into our experience by being really timely right now, by showing up right on time. I talked in the previous video about headphones, about books, about being on the phone if one has to be, in order to, I don't know, not be too approachable by predatory, crazy, insane people. I've just got to say it. Like that's a thing right now. And it's not that everyone's like that. It's not that there's a guarantee that being in one of these situations is going to put you face to face with an insane person. I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, but it is likely. It's likely that people are past their boiling point. It's likely that basically the demons that some people have, and when I say demon, I'm not talking in like a ghost sense, I'm talking in like the quirks or the unworked karma, the knots that they've not worked out themselves. I'll use the word demons. It's Scorpio season after all. The demons that other people haven't worked out are at the worst point that they could ever be, basically, right now. And it's actually going to be this way for a really long time. So this is where it is very difficult to meet new people. It's very difficult to deal with strangers. It's very difficult to also try to trust someone in a way to be kind. You know, in order to be kind to someone, in order to be like inviting, you end up inviting these like crazy kinks that other people have because they can't control themselves anymore. So I want you to keep an eye out. So let's transition this video a little bit into a different territory. I want you to keep an eye out for little actions of other people that show it, okay? It's not going to be hideable at this time. Scorpio season is really very, very truthful and honest this year. So the demons of certain people are not going to be occluded right now, and you're going to see it, and you're going to also, if you're too kind, too inviting, and too oblivious, I want to say, which I have even seen this in myself recently, and I've been really shocked. You know, some of you might think, wow, Sky is so spiritually developed. I'm right here with you all. I'm right here with you all. Like, this is a crazy time. It's freaking insane. In an attempt to be kind and tranquil as I try to be when I'm like in public space or when I'm like, you know, moving around the world and my experience, I have actually seen that I was being oblivious and inviting some really toxic energy into my life. And I've seen that I've got to become a better executive over my own experience. And I would invite you guys also to think about being executives over your own experience and not relying on other people's materials, not relying on other people's content or anything to be a foundation. Supplements or supplementation of other people's contributions are another story. But I would also advise during this time to take yourself at a foundational level and let you be the foundation. Let your creative components be foundational instead of relying on another person or instead of relying especially on people that you don't know too well. There's a lot under the surface that's probably coming out right now. And there's a lot that we have to really facilitate care with in order to overcome this time without doing some karmic damage. So talking a little bit about what I said as one of the first things in this video, like the understanding of ego evolution, because that's what I think is happening here collectively. I think that everybody, to a degree, at a more, I don't know, primary level are having identity crisis, and then at a more supra level are having basically ego evolution. I hope that this hierarchy makes sense, but it's like when you're first entering into this energy, I see it as identity crisis. When it's maturing, I'm seeing it as ego evolution. And then yes, after that, I'm seeing results, okay? Results, real ones. Not just like, I feel this way, not just, you know, I think that this is how things are, not just like I see a different tone of synchronicity in my life, like real results. Okay, like, wow, I have a different income. Wow, I live somewhere else. Wow, I had to stop that. Wow, I don't have half the people I had in my life anymore. Like real results. So being that identity crisis, I feel for a lot of people has evolved into ego evolution or has come to that point. There are a lot of ugly experiences that people have during those times. So if you have, and I'm trying to really reach a specific group of people here with this video, and I hope that I can help you over the next few minutes here. If you have had an ugly interaction with someone else, or you have had someone like target you or try to sabotage you, that is happening, and I want you guys to be really keen. No drunkenness, no being places you don't understand, no being lost in mazes. Know your stuff right now, and know your path, know your places, know when you get there, and also know your contingencies. We are walking on really thin ice right now. But if you've already had it, as I've recently had it as well, if you've already had it, seeing straight through someone, seeing that someone is actually a saboteur. Basically, their life has become about the sabotage of other people, or about the stoking of chaos in other people's lives, or about the vampiric ingestion of the pain of others. If you've been on the other side of that, if you've attracted that into your life, we'll talk about what that means. But if you're there, I want you to try to let it wash off like water, and basically like, this is not a situation where we compensate, okay? Where we see that someone does something mean or rude to us and we think, okay, well, I'm gonna like get dressed up and stand in my power next time I see them and like look down on them, and then they're going to know my power. That's going to create a battle. That's going to create like a war. That's not going to create a resolution here. That's going to create more of this problem. This is more so about peace building, and for some people evasion, with the understanding that these people who are saboteurs like this are basically going to find someone to be that way toward, and you're going to step out of that role. That's what I want this to look like for you. And how can we step out of the role of basically being on that side of energetic sabotage? Ooh, what a great question. I'm so happy you guys are here listening to this. It's gold stuff here. How to step out of that role. You have to step into yourself, okay? I'm going to break that down because that has a lot to break down within it. But you're outside of yourself to some degree if you have manifested this situation. If you've manifested and you're an adult and you're like in an adult experience, especially, if you've manifested a saboteur looking back at you, creating chaos in your life, you in some way are, I don't know, vibrating at about like 70% or less of what like living people should be vibrating at. Because these people vibrationally who are saboteurs or energetic vampires like this, they cannot stand in opposition in the same space, or certainly they cannot create dialogue or create an interaction with someone vibrating at 100%. They can't do it. By virtue of their vibration, they can only interact in a real way or cause chaos or trouble or do good or whatever they do. They can only do that when the person is compromised that they're dealing with. So if you are, oh gosh, guys, this is incredible discoveries that we're having here. I'm so happy. I love how Scorpio season will do this for me sometimes. If we're attracting these situations, we have to really understand that we're compromised. There's something compromised going on. We're either in autoimmune state, and basically to some degree, we are depleting ourselves and ourselves only. And certainly, yes, when we get into that place and we get into 1,000 other people around us, like trying to deplete us, yeah. But we got to overcome that here and now. Because in the 2022 year cycle, let me tell you all, we can fall to our knees in that position and totally lose the path. Not lose the path. The path is never lost. We're always on the path by virtue of living. But the feet have been coming up to me. This is really interesting. The feet, okay? Been getting a psychic image of feet all the time. Is that strange? I don't know. Never have before. But what I've been understanding about it and what I'm being called to say about it in this channeling is that we're not on our feet. Our mind and consciousness is evolving to a degree that we can be or feel as if we are perceiving so many new levels, evolution of consciousness. We're thinking about, oh, I'm going to create this business. Oh, I'm going to get here in my life. Oh, I'm going to change this over here. And we're there. Like our minds are there and we're not in our own feet. We're not in our own experience. And that's when that's when the buzzards start swirling overhead, the vultures, So we have a big mission during this T-square to get back into ourselves and to stop compromising ourselves. Okay? A big mission. And really, the second that your vibration levels out, these are going to start becoming non-issues, like a lot of the things that you might be building up, especially with interpersonal relationships. any type of relationships. Those things are going to start naturally resolving just by getting a little bit more behind ourselves and a little bit more embodied in our own experience. And I do feel that again, it's like that in-between place, like when the speed, we don't like the speed, but we want to be at a different speed, but we're not there yet. Again, it's not going to happen overnight. Like, we're not going to go from 70% vibrational capacity to 100%, like in the snap of a fingers. I mean, some people can do that, but it's not advisable. And so what I recommend if this is resonating for you, and if you're in this place where you've identified that the vibration is not good, you're attracting saboteurs, you're attracting vulture-like people, you're attracting energetic vampires, anything like that. If you feel that has become a part of your experience, we've got to have an interim time period. And I'm seeing that that's a lot of what December of 2021 is going to look like. It's going to kind of look like, it's a weird type of energy that I'm seeing there. And a lot of January, actually. It's going to be like late December and early to mid-January, where we kind of allow this change in speed to happen. And I think that we have to do it, because I don't think that the way that things are, as I see them right here as I'm filming this, November 10th of 2021, I don't think that this, for the majority of people, if you're resonating with this, and if you're not, thank God, very awesome. You don't resonate with this video, pat yourself on the back. It's a good thing you don't. But if you resonate with this video, I don't feel that anything here that is a status quo construct in your life, in its current form, is in any way a godsend or a blessing. And that's not to make us start doubting ourselves. That's not to make us start going into like, I'm so angry at myself. I mean, sometimes anger can motivate an upward vibrational motivation at the end of the day. That's true. But what I'm trying to say here is this is not about getting upset about where things stand right now, but it is about understanding where they stand. It is about knowing it. And again, it's about getting into that executive space of your own experience and preparing to make a more manageable situation for a lot of people. And to me, it does also look like a toughening of the vulnerable, okay? I'm not saying that vulnerability is a bad thing. Vulnerability is a wonderful thing, but it has a certain timing. There's timing and vulnerability versus like, I don't know, hardness, I guess. Timing is really the key word here. There are times where we need to be vulnerable, and there are times where we need to be more Teflon. Okay, and I find this to be a more Teflon, especially for in the public sphere, especially if we're not just at home. And then when we're at home, we can have that vulnerable experience. But a lot of us just have to point blank stop being so sensitive about some things, not all things. I'm really trying to talk to a highly evolved spiritual demographic here, where it's like, this isn't a matter of suppressing sensitivity. This isn't a matter of repressing either. But it's a matter of knowing that there's like a point A and a point B, and that bridge is not going to be constructed with, I don't know, it's not going to be constructed with strings. It's going to be constructed with steel. Okay. So vulnerability will keep us at this point in time where we currently are, which for some people that's the right thing. But if you've identified that you need to have some sort of change or some sort of shift, it's going to take some steel, okay? And we're going to have to stop worrying about certain things, and we're going to have to stop giving certain people the time of day. And I don't know, we're going to have to really work on our timing a little bit. Okay, timing. That's really the key to feeling self-empowered, is the embrace of timing. And I've got to say, I'm seeing with these T-squares, what's indicated astrologically with these T-squares involving the time planet of Saturn, so much of that. What I'm seeing is basically just misplaced timing. So we're not in the spaces necessarily that we need to be in. And you can feel it, it's like itchy, it's scratchy. Like you feel it when you're there. You're like, this is not really where my time, energy, or investment needs to be. And I would really recommend standardizing that throughout your life experience and innovating, because what you can do with the Aquarius, very highly advanced Aquarius Jupiter direct right now, it gives you the innovative capacity to solve this, at least for yourself, if not for other people, through basically standardizing a more executive approach and a more willful approach to knowing where you don't need to be and when you don't need to be there and where you do need to be. So it's really good to work on itineraries right now. It's really good to know exact periods of timing, and it's really good to know exactly what you're doing and for that to be a busy thing, unless you're living alone or unless you're like in your house. Like if you're in your house, you kind of have free reign. And I'm a big advocate for a safe and free expression within the home. That's great. And then yes, we do need some also like a mundane capability to fulfill routine, which is not always, the greatest feeling thing, but it's very rewarding. What I'm trying to get at here is out of the house, we don't need to be like dallying or loitering around. It's just not smart right now, because the people in those spaces are really worrying me. And it's not everyone. It's like, it's not everyone. Because there are people like us, or people like, who are being basically summoned by the universe as witnesses to these people and to some of the crazy things going on. And as sort of a reminder about how life can be when one devolves their vibrational spectrum. Okay, so we have reminders right now. Okay, very interesting word. I'm getting chills. With all the fixed signs, the regressive energy that can come with that, the T-squares, the conflict. It's a reminder of how things once were. It's a reminder of a previous disempowerment. And it's a conflict between your new empowered self that you've probably stepped in during the 2019 or 2020 year cycle. It's that version of the ego versus the previous version of the ego. So this is every bit as internal as it is external. This isn't just a matter of some like phenomenon where there's like crazy people out there. This is really about seeing like the conflict between, for a lot of people, their interior selves, and having sensory stimulation perhaps that reminds us of where we once were. And that can be freaky in Scorpio season, okay? Thumbs up for the freakiness of those old reminders, of those old archaeological excavations of who we once were in comparison, being viewed through the lens of who we are now. T-square, right? T-square. That's what it's about. What is the meaning of this? Why is this happening? What purpose is this serving? It's a tough one to answer for me right now, and I'm sure that this will come through. I'm hoping that it comes through sooner than later, because for me, this has been something I've been seeing throughout this entire year to a degree. So, what purpose is it serving? I'm trying to understand it. Basically, I paused the video to meditate on that for a while, and I had to think about it. And what I've come to essentially is that is trying to show us like what effort is about, and what going against basically the grain of creator or against the grain of the universe, and trying to, I don't want to say like assume that power oneself or try to basically manufacture different results. I think that is a big integral part of what's going on here in the energy of late 2021, and why, for example, many of us feel like we're putting 1,000% more energy into things and taking on so much new stuff, like in order to like grow or keep up with economics or whatever it is, whatever reason behind our effort. I'm seeing a huge collective effort. And I know for a lot of people, this is antithetical because we're seeing like movements like the Great Resignation, or people are like, yeah, I'm self-employed now, or I have my own business, or, you know, I work from home, I work less hours now. But at the same time, what I'm seeing as a spiritual intuitive is people's effort levels way higher than they were before any of these movements. So none of these like movements are leading to relaxation or leading to what I would see as a greater sense of liberation. Though it is, because I suppose that many people are choosing a lot of these things, but it's kind of like, are they really, you know, economically, or I don't know, if someone has a family to support and they become self-employed and push their limits and work 90 hours a week, did they really choose to do that? And it just gets them by, you know, like they just pay their bills, but that's what it takes. It takes 90 hours to get them by. Are they choosing that? Is that their choice? Or is it kind of or is the level of choice mainly in choosing whether or not to step up to the plate or not? And it's not about like a demand or an innovation really of a new way to generate those stabilities, or a reforming of the current status quo. Ooh, Aquarian dialogues, but we're going to have to really optimize our output a little bit. And we're going to have to up the quality and down the quantity for a lot of people of their energetic outputs to be more in alignment with universal momentums, instead of trying so gosh darn hard for what ends up being minimal results. Like, even if you end up like, I don't know, making a lot more money, or living in a nicer place, or I don't know, giving yourself the impression that you're doing things yourself right now. What I'm also seeing with that is basically like, that's when inflation comes in. You know, that's when the universe and the general momentums of the world like inflate the economy to where like, oh, you've made all this money, what does it mean now? You know, because it's not real. There's something fiat about the experience they're generating for themselves. So what I'm trying to get at here, because this is good dialogue for the T-square as well, and also about the results of overstriving, or the results of pushing your limits so far, and essentially, yes, compromising your energetic vibrations so that now you find yourself in weird empty spaces with vampiric people, because that is the result of this energy calibration of trying so hard. What the answer is, you guys, is trying a little bit less hard, okay? And for a lot of people, there is a lot of like health things to look at as well. Like, I'm not seeing that this is just like a matter of like labor. This is also about what we're eating. This is about injuries or some type of physical blurring and erosion of human lines. Ooh, this is deep stuff. Oh my gosh. Blurring of human lines as something that's happening as a greater overall universal experience to every human right now. Blurring of lines, seams, connecting points becoming different. And that's, I think, the root of all of this. And that's another topic for another day, but what you can take from that, if that doesn't make sense. Some of you totally understand exactly what I was getting at there. If it's something that didn't make sense to you, it's not that important, but basically I would really pay attention to the shape and form of your body in the sense of like chiropractic, or in the sense of massage, or in the sense of also foods that deal with fascia refortification. So foods that lead to healthy fascia, that lead to healthy skin, that lead to healthy bones and formative tissue would be, to me, like the highest priority right now, because you could see injuries to those things with these T-squares, or you could see chronic problems with the fascia, or with certain alignments within the body, which, again, common theme is a sign of a compromise of vibration. So that's the common theme here, is a compromised vibrational status. And what has caused that is different for every person, but I'm seeing it as trying too hard. I'm seeing it as being too demanding. I'm seeing it as not knowing limits. I'm seeing it as Also false illusions of security via money or via things like that, and then basically trying so hard to generate that, and then inflation, it didn't ever even mattered. So it's kind of tying back also into my global dynamics video, which I'll also link below, but I love how all the content is really streaming together nicely this month. But in conclusion, if you're feeling that kind of purgatorial vibe, I'll call it, and if you're sensing that you are worried about the people around you, or you're in a compromised place, now is a really good time to reaffirm your authority and independence over you. And I would say to question certain contracts, or to look at them. I mean, really look at them and see what they are, and discern about whether that's a good momentum, because we have a lot more power than we know right now to kind of change up that language a little bit, or to shift those dynamics around here. And I don't see a lot of people really, dare I say, capitalizing on that. I see a lot of people trying to like really fit into boxes, or really trying to fit into the previous contract or the previous way. And I feel that it either needs to be delegated, or it needs to be reformatted. Okay, so that's going to start again with being the executive over your own life experience. We can't expect anyone else to do it for us. We can't expect someone else to make the decisions for us. We can like relegate or delegate certain standardized processes, but we can't make these big we can't expect other people to make these big life decisions. Again, a doctor, a lawyer, a professor, an advisor, an astrologer, to like choose for you like what your profession is, or what your calling is, or how you're going to do it. Like this is where like I'm seeing a lot of compromise again, is it's like people are like, I don't want to be liable for this. I don't want to make a choice. I don't, again, like the Lover's card stagnating at the crossroads. I don't want to bear the consequences of this path. Someone else needs to make this decision. I need an owner. That way they're liable for the peril that I go through, so that I'm not that. And you see, guys, that's getting into really, really worrisome vibrational space, where we are no longer living in a free life, okay? By inviting it in. It's not by being taken, it's by the invitation of it, because nobody wants any gosh darn liability at this point in time for anything. That's a little taciturn, I know, and it's not everybody, it's not 100% of people, but it's by far a big majority, okay? On the flip side, for those who are willing to assume liability, there are huge rewards at this point in time, and I'm seeing like a shockingly less consequences than usual too, which is an interesting little dynamic there. But I just don't think that many people are willing to be there, and I also think that the people are there who are already in, you know, big paths and big, like what they might say, risks. It's not the meat of their experience. It's not the majority of their experience either. They're also super hyper compensating in like their family life, or in their other goals that have nothing to do with like these like big, what we see as big path decisions. So I think that a lot of us are getting really passive and really inactive over our own experience. And I would recommend a change in speed there. And it's not going to be instantaneous. It's not something that we're just going to like click overnight, but it might be something to identify as something that could probably lead to like the experience of, I don't know, it's maybe not the conversation for today, but you just have to know that that experience leads to a complete subjugation of independent experiences and choices. Like the universe, this is really interesting. Gosh, it's just dialogue after dialogue in this video. The universe is very deliberate with like who stands in a choice-making place. And every human, it's part of the human experience, but for some people, some of their choices are perceived as bigger or more affecting of others than others. And this energy is accessible to anyone, interestingly. Like anyone can stand in these huge decision-making processes, but I'm seeing just a big push to limit that energetic territory for people. And it's by their own choosing. It's not imposition. It's not other people imposing that on others. This is a choiceful redaction of personal choice making out of fear of liability. So I will leave you guys with that concept today. It's a really good food for thought concept. What could you do to maybe increase your autonomy and your capability in a way that you are no longer subject in the same way to other people's musings, as I'm seeing that to be the main chaos source right now? Because a lot of us like think really happy thoughts about like being able to zone out or being able to have other people do stuff for us, or having someone else like pay our bills, or someone else like watch over us, or be out for our best interests, or keep our lights on, or whatever. Maybe there are solid providers, or maybe there are good-hearted people with savior complexes, but in the most case, these are those vampiric people I was talking about earlier in the video, who are seeking to invest in their provision being conditional on you then owing them something. So be very cautious during this time about the people who give in such a tacky way. I've seen this quite a few times in my own experience recently, and it's really, really getting to a certain level. But we have basically people offering to give us anything during this time, you know? And I think that too many people are having too many prices, basically, or too many people are having a price, or too many people are trusting this. And, you know, they don't understand, unfortunately. I'm just turning my heat up in here. It's getting cold. A lot of people don't understand that the giving of other people is to put them into a state of owing, okay? And I've even seen people like really wanting to like forcefully give, and I'm standing in opposition to this during this time, to this energy. And for those of you who are, again, I'm probably at this point in time, 40 minutes into the video, I'm only talking to very like spiritually minded people. It might not be understandable or comprehensible if you're kind of new to this, but I'm standing in energetic opposition to this forced giving. And I am in no way trying to say that we don't live in an abundant universe that gives to us and that we give to as well. That is a part of nature. But what I'm talking about is the manufactured version of it. The vampiric people who have come together as a sort of like group effort to attempt to sort of recreate this system of nature. But it's manufactured, it's not real. I'm not talking, like there are times where the universe gives, and also where that can come through a real human to human experience, like, you know, sometimes winning the lottery, or even certain, I mean, there's plenty of ways that this can come through naturally, and you'll know when it's natural and you'll know when it's not. Like when you have someone giving something to you or doing you some kind of favor, and you know that it's not coming from a kind or good place. You know that it's coming from an ugly place. You know that it's coming from a parasitic place. Okay, we have to keep our eyes out for that during this time. Okay, and you know it. Okay, you know it. It's so visible. Even people who wouldn't consider themselves to be empaths or wouldn't consider themselves to be psychic or whatever can usually see this to some degree. So as little interaction, it's difficult when there's forced interaction, as I'm seeing a lot of people in that place where they're forced to interact with these types of people right now, as a reminder of what not to be, okay? As a reminder of what they've gotten out of, and as a reminder of what they are not subservient to during this time anymore. But it's here as a reminder, okay? Okay. Just keep your eye out for it, and if you're faced with it, with a parasite, okay, or with an unwell person, or with some kind of unsurmountable, complex spiderweb event that seems not solvable, or seems not, as I feel this to be the main thing that especially spiritual people are going through right now. These aren't easy two-dimensional stuff anymore. These are like complex webs of stuff. You know, at some point in time, we have to dismantle that, or we have to have a starting over, or we have to create beautifully with it. You know, like spider webs are very beautiful to me, like, and spiders that create them are incredible geniuses. But you don't want to be victim to like another web, or to be caught up in it in a way that you can't understand. This is very difficult for me to channel, because this is getting beyond this time, but it's something that is shaping up, especially for the Jupiter and Pisces period of time, as I see that symbolically as a web in the moonlight to a degree, especially being that Neptune is there as well. So in conclusion, the ego is likely evolving for everybody to some degree right now. And we can really choose. We can really pick and choose how we do it. Like, try to not get caught up in like, I just have no power. This is like a forced interaction. I can't help it. Like, with timing and with better timing and better crafting, we can really take back control. As I don't feel control is too bad right now if it's just control over your time, okay? And quick moving and not being in places you don't know, not being thrown into situations that you are not familiar with. Not a good time to go skydiving for the first time, okay? Not a good time to try a type of food you've never eaten before, okay? And even like risky kinds of food, like raw fish or any type of like, anything that can have parasites, okay? I find this time to be very parasitic. And we have to really have discernment, judgment about what we're putting into our bodies, about the spaces that we're choosing to enter, about what time we enter them, about getting places early, probably not a great idea, about staying after for a while. If we don't know the people well, I can't recommend it. And I think basically just comfortably relaxing into a safe space is the best way to ride through this storm. We are in an energetic storm right now. So a little storm alert from Sky. I hope you guys enjoyed this brief, raw, unedited channeling on my smartphone about this time, as I had a lot more insights getting closer to this lunar eclipse happening later this month. I will talk to you all soon. If you want to check out my Patreon page below, quick advertisement. It is such a great service for those of you who haven't tried it yet. This is a great time of year to try it. I do weekly tea chats every Saturday. I do all the readings early and ad-free. And it's just another great way to keep up with the channel. And it's very reasonable. Okay, so hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share this with someone you might think it would apply to, someone else who's on this like spiritual path or something. And comment below and let me know how it was. So good luck. And again, quick storm alert from Sky. So happy navigating this time. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.